So Virgo, your August 2025 forecast begins with the Sun and your ruler Mercury in your tender 12th house. The 12th house is about reflection. Everybody has a period of reflection each year, and it's the 4 weeks before our Sun returns to our sign. But Mercury being in the mix and being retrograde as August begins adds an extra layer of complexity. But Venus, the relator, moved as July came to a close into your sector of friendship, asking you to celebrate the things you have in common with people, not the things that make you different. And yet, as you come into this month, there is a quarter moon between the 12th house Sun and the 3rd house and deep and passionate moon in Scorpio. So there could be some gossip to the fore as you enter August, or you could be feeling lower in vitality or lower in confidence. You may even feel a bit isolated. Psychologically, you may feel the world's going on around you and you're not part of it. And if there is a friend that tends to be very possessive, controlling, not necessarily as open-hearted as you would like, that fair weather friendship could be teased into the open as you enter this month. All of which is hugely frustrating because you start this month with Mars still in your sign, and Mars is very much about action in things and can be very exciting and can be very dynamic, but is also opposite Saturn and Neptune broadly on the 6th. Mars moves out of your sign and into the sign of Libra. Technically debilitated, but for you, this is where you're going to be thinking for 6 weeks about everyday finance, but also about your self-worth. Mars is pushing you to take your value seriously. Saturn and Neptune is where you're connecting to others who may be only too keen to tell you of your lack of value. So it's possible as you come into this month that you're feeling somewhat deflated or unsure about what other people's intentions and motives really are. But I want to reassure you, because there is going to be one or maybe more than one friends who really demonstrate to you just how much they value you. And also, when the Sun returns to your sign on the 22nd and you have the new moon in your sign on the 23rd, those are both opportunities for you to move into the moment, take firmer control of your life direction and get on the front foot. But we do need to go back to that Mars transition into Libra. Libra is the sign of fairness. If you feel a financial matter isn't being conducted in a particularly even-handed way, you may find yourself getting very, very exasperated. And particularly by the full moon of the 9th, because once again, if you feel that someone is trying to undermine you by not focusing on the gifts you have, which is organisation, attention to detail, being available to support others, in a world that sees service as somehow beneath us, you understand the value and the glue that provides for society to do things to help others, whether it's through food, whether it's through healing, whether it's through health, whatever. But once Mercury goes direct on the 11th, things will ease. It's not going to be a panacea. It won't be until the 25th when Mercury emerges from its post-retrograde shadow that you'll get the true release. But what you do get from the 9th to the 15th is a surprising feed of information. And there could be one friend who you have been unsure of, or it could be someone new who you really can bond with in a very positive way from the 9th through to the 15th. In fact, that peaks on the 12th, the conjunction between Venus and Jupiter. Now, if you're someone who tends to take part in some kind of collaborative effort, where you get together a group of people, maybe you'll put some money in for some kind of draw prize each week or each month, there could be some serendipity linked to something like that. But also just connecting to the person who really gets you without you having to justify yourself, without it being about money, without someone being a bit snarky about your work situation or the something that they perceive as not being quite as good as it could, when actually it could be even a little bit of jealousy and perhaps even just backbiting because that's what can happen, sadly. But from the 23rd through to the 27th, Uranus newly arrived in Gemini last month, which is going to link very dynamically, I should say, to Mars and Pluto through the 8th to the 10th, suggests that some kind of professional opportunity could start to break for you. So if you have been putting up with a situation where you don't like the people you work with, you don't like the employers, you don't like the job, you feel undermined, it's affecting your physical vitality, but also your emotional happiness, you get a chance on the 22nd, as the sun moves into your sign, to really take charge and be much more assertive about how this will play out. The new moon asks you to set your intentions about your unique talents. But the key is, Virgo, you may need to break free of something you've done for quite some time that you're very good at, that you have a real appreciation of. And that may be a routine or structure that gives you a sense of identity, but also gives you a life pattern which makes you feel at ease. And if you think about it, Pluto's been pushing you in 3 stages to become more aware of what may need to evolve in terms of your everyday penchant for a metronomic approach to life. So with Uranus in the mix, in the most visible part of your situation, clashing with the part of you that's very much your individual nature, there could be some kind of change that's imposed upon you at work that you're not necessarily wanting, but it could be very liberating. But equally, there could be something you decide to do which breaks the paradigm by getting off some kind of role or situation which has no longer or is no longer serving your greater good. But Venus moves into your 12th house as this month draws to a close. And it's important to know that with the position of Mercury still being in your 12th house too, maybe is a relationship from your past or some deep thinking about a current one is something you need to consider too, especially if you're wanting to be more dynamic as August comes to a close and you don't feel your partner or your friends are particularly celebrating the thing that you want to be more daring around. But you have a chance. So this month could be potentially quite tricky at the very start of the month, but don't underestimate the upside that can come from Venus's conjunction, the 2 planets of fortune, through the 9th to the 15th, peaking on the 12th, but also becoming much more conscious of what the deeper part of your nature really is craving. And that's what that Mercury retrograde in your 12th house is asking you to review. And the energy of Mars, Uranus and Pluto are pushing you, provoking you to be open to a fresh new beginning, which really helps to inspire you and helps you to demonstrate your wonderful skills, talents and experiences, but in a fresh and much more exciting and dynamic way. With year 2025 absolutely racing by, you can order your year 2026 natal forecast now, and I'll give you the rest of this year free, but also 30% off and your life roadmap report, the most important document any of us can ever read, helping to give us searing insights into the life patterns that have played out so far, but a much more intimate understanding of how to work with those energies future forwards. Please see the link below for more.